minutes for my notifications to go out, but um, I don't know what it is about my Facebook when I'm trying to use my StreamYard. Well, we're
Mm.
live, by the way. It never wants to like start up now,
Oh,
which is okay. So, welcome to the short bus.
thank you.
I guess everybody strap your helmet on. We got an awesome decoy from um uh, bikers against preds. Uh, uh, BAP Cali, what you go by? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Why did you choose BAP Cali?
So I didn't get to name myself, actually. Boots named me.
Oh,
Yep,
that's pretty
Cali,
cool.
because I am your not so local decoy. I am in California, while the rest of the team is in Indiana.
Oh, that's crazy. How'd you all like? If you mind me asking, some questions, if I ask, you do not have to answer, right? Because I do not want to dox you in no way, because I know it can be. I just wanted to be safe for you.
I appreciate that. It's okay. I'll lie. Don't worry. If I don't want to
Okay.
answer, I'll just lie.
Okay. Okay. Um. So, how did you and Boots and Bikers Against Predators meet up?
So I came across Boots's Bikers Against Predators. I came across him, started watching him, and then not too long after that is when he started his gaming stream. And he
Mm.
used to game pretty late at night, which, as you now know, I don't sleep much, and so it was a perfect time. And so I was always in his gaming stream, and I was just very active in the chat, and we sort of became friends, and started talking. And he asked if I wanted to mod his gaming page. From there, he asked if I wanted to mod the bikers page. And then about 6-ish months in, I told him, like, hey, buds, I think I want to start decoying. He's like, go for it. And he gave me a couple tips, and then here I am a year later.
Mm. So you've been decoying for about a year now, you said?
Just over a year.
How do you like it?
As weird as it sounds, I really enjoy decoying. I definitely have to take a break every now and again, just depending on who the catch is. Some boyfriends, as we like to call them, I may only talk to for a week or 24 or 48 hours, but then there's some that you have to hold on to for months. And after I've had to talk to somebody for months, because typically these guys are so needy and you have to talk to them all day, every day. Sometimes it's like, okay, all right, boss man, I need 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks where I don't have to entertain one of these perverts, and then I'll get right back at it.
Oh, I believe Bat uh Southern Belle, I believe, or Southern Belle, I believe we didn't tell her. She says, "What, you didn't tell me? I think you was coming up here, or possibly me myself." I apologize, Southern Belle.
What about Southern Belle?
I believe we didn't mention to her that you was coming up here today. I don't know if that's on me or on you.
Pussy looker, I am a woman on Saturdays. I'm sorry. If short person would have hit me up on a Thursday, I'd be talking like a man. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
So, are you possibly transsexual?
Transsexual. I sometimes maybe I think on Tuesdays. I'm not. It's not set in stone yet. I'm still kind of deciding whether I want to be a furry on Tuesdays instead. Um, so I'm still trying new things.
So, I don't even know why. Um. So, so what's your what makes you have a passion to decoy?
I mean, probably partially similar to anybody else, right? Like I am a mama of two young boys, and protecting kids, and I do have a passion for giving back to the community. But also, I'm a victim myself of a unique circumstance from when I was a kid. I was sexually abused from ages about 7 to 10. So um, finding my voice and being able to speak up for other kids like I couldn't. I never did. So
That's it's I think a lot of people possibly in this type of community that either works in it or does whatever decoying, catching, has a lot of trauma dealing with. I think a lot of times that draws people into this community, seeing a little bit of justice dealt out.
mhm, for sure, for sure. And I know that I've not come across anybody that has gone through what I went through as a kid.
Mm,
But I know there has to be more out there because from my circumstance, um, you know, I I lived in a household. I'm with my wonderful mom and dad, but they have both had to work full time jobs. We were lower to middle class. They both had to, which meant all the kids in the house were home alone all summer or any kind of school breaks, sometimes weekends and whatnot. And there was someone in the household, a family member, who was about 6 years older than me. And unfortunately, when he started to go through puberty, he started experimenting on me and it just progressed. And I mean, one day it stopped, but it's a unique story that I've not heard, but I know there has to be more out there. And so just kind of like telling parents, hey, or family members in general, hey, if you have kids at home that are unsupervised, you might not think that anything would happen, but just you got to understand that kids are kids. I guess I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. It's gross. I hate it, but I don't know. I just think you got to be careful when you have kids at home that are of different ages. I mean, not ages, genders, and I don't know.
I'd say gender and ages because that really does happen more than I believe a lot of people is told unless it's like super severe. It kind of almost I believe sometimes that just gets kind of brushed under the rug. Or I mean,
Yeah,
if it is found out at all, it's just like, oh, they're just kids, and it don't make it right at all. It's just it just I mean it. I believe it happens more than what has been said,
yeah. I honestly I agree with you.
which is it's sad, but if anybody has kids like that watching this at all, please check on your kids. When because it is super dangerous and it as you can see, it can affect people their whole life.
Yep, and it
Right.
has. I can tell you that.
Definitely. Just like APP said, sibling sexual exploration with each other happens a lot, and
Yeah.
I believe it does, and which is I don't know. So, so who? So you've been doing this a year,
Hmm.
you said. So who was the worst predator that you have? Um,
Oh, the worst one. Okay.
yeah, that you've
Um.
chatted with, I guess you could say.
Okay. Well, you know what? When it comes to worst predator for me, it's not necessarily somebody who was the sickest. It's just somebody that took up so much of my time and was so annoying. Norberto, aka
Roberto.
Cali Love. Yep, Norberto. He was called Cali Love Pride. He was in Southern California.
Uh,
Um, and I had to talk to him for several months when Boots and Vans and I came down here. We came down to Southern California to get him, and but at that time we didn't have him identified, and he bailed on meeting. So eventually, like a month and a half later, Boots and I came back down and we found him. But he was so I had to talk to him on the phone every single day. His file was over 50 gigabytes in size because
wow.
he insisted, and I kind of bent over backwards, right, for him communicating with him because I wanted to catch him because he was so disgusting, but he was also so manipulative. I would tell him I'm at school or I'm with my mom, but he would text me over and over and over and over again. He was like, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to slit my wrists for you if you
Wow.
don't call me. And so he's talking to a child, threatening. He's like, in 10 seconds, I'm going to end my life for you. My life means nothing without you. And he would count down in text messages 10, 9. Do you have any last words for me? 8. So he was just, and every time on the phone, constantly wanting to have phone sex, constantly like just jerking it on the phone while I'm talking to him quite
Oh.
loudly. But
Mm.
I could not find him. I could not identify him, and it was so annoying. And then one day, and I literally, like, I wish you could have seen my office. I have a picture of it. It looked like an FBI office or something because I knew he was in a mariachi band, and I knew the name of it. And so I had like pictures of different people who played because he would play his violin for me. And so I had different pictures of people in mariachi outfits and whatnot. Is it that guy? Is it that guy? Is it that guy? Well, one day this fucker was he had a an Alexa device, and so he liked to. It was so annoying. I have to sit there and he was like, Alexa, tell me a joke, and so he would have Alexa tell us jokes, and I'd have to sit there and like, ha ha ha, yeah, it's so cool. And one day he's like, watch, I can have Alexa call you. It's gonna come from a private number, but still answer. Watch, idiot. Well, it called me, but it wasn't from a private number. And the Alexa device was registered to him. And so I got from that call right there, I got his address and everything. And I swear, once I ran that and it came back to him, I just about died. I was so excited because I missed so much time. And I told him that too. And we called him like, do you know how much time I lost with my kids? Because he wanted to call every single time around the at nighttime where I hang out with my kids and put them to bed. And like I make a bedtime story. Like we have bedtime adventures with my kids. I don't read them books. I make up adventures. And that's special. I have a 6-year-old boy, an 8-year-old boy, and so I was constantly like having to just like waving to them from my office saying, "Hi," and it sucked, and I hated it. So for him, he's the worst. For me, not. I mean, he was disgusting. I mean, he actually taught me that my butthole has a V card. I didn't know that.
What?
Yeah, he told me he was gonna take my butt virginity. I was like, all right.
Oh my! That is like Madison said. The worst chats doesn't always equal worst or most dangerous thread.
Exactly, exactly. But he was also disgusting. He kept telling me, he goes, when I see you, you cannot be wearing clothes. Okay. He goes, and when we have sex, it's gonna hurt. But don't try to tell me to stop because I'm not going to. I'm like,
Wow!
okay. He was gross. So he was really gross. Like, don't get me wrong, very disgusting. But just
Like
his
that's sick.
behavior was, ugh.
Wow, that is so sick. I think I saw somebody in the chat saying he's still out. What did I say?
As far as I
He's
know, when we visited him,
he's
the
still a
police, yeah, we filed a police report because we did confront him and whatnot, but um, it was like 100 degrees outside, and we kept him outside for I think just over an hour, and we just couldn't do it anymore. So we let him go inside because he had COVID. It was funny. We caught him as he was coming back from getting tested for COVID. Um, and so the police came after he had already gone inside. And so we filed a police report and whatnot. And I've tried following up a few times, but I not heard anything back. And I actually
so
got a notification the other day that he joined Telegram. So that was fun.
oh so that's Telegram, as we all have heard through different catchers, but for me especially Alex, that Telegram is where you catch some of the worst of the worst. That is like CSAM, CP, what or and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. Whenever we get new boyfriends, that's one of the first things that we check. And we know that if they pop up on Signal or Telegram or any app like that, we know that we're going to be in for a very disgusting and interesting ride.
Wow, that's actually crazy. Do you decoy preds off of Telegram?
No, one. I've done one, but it's not one that we've actually caught. Um, mhm.
That's
But
that's
mostly I
actually
try to stay off of Telegram in terms of communication. I try to keep Telegram on one phone that's not connected to one of my decoy phones, just because that way I can, I can have them in that phone and know that they're on Telegram without them knowing I'm also on Telegram. Just because how I kind of like to work as well.
um, Ba- Bella said, "Call in the goodest best friend ever."
That's my sissy, my bestie for life. I love Belle.
That
She's my
I'm just gonna
favorite
say,
person in this whole wide world.
I love Southern Belle also. She's an awesome decoy, awesome person. Anytime she's I don't know, just she's has a great attitude and just awesome.
She is. I hands down. There's so many people in this world. I idolize her and I look up to her every single day. If
Mm.
I die being 1% of the woman that Belle is, I'm a happy camper.
And why does Corpus say uh it cracks me up every time Short Bus reads that chats aloud? I told,
I I don't know.
oh, that's Corpus though. Bale is saying Callie is my ride or die.
Absolutely. Always, she's
So
my ride or die.
definitely. So have you been on a live catch with Boots?
Hmm. I try to make it out to Indiana at least once a quarter, um, if not twice. I was just out there in January. I was also out there in February, and I'm coming back out in September. So yes, I have been on live catches with Boots, which is
Mm.
always fun.
So do you? So I asked a lot of the catchers this also. When you go out and you go into the person residence or whatever, do you get an adrenaline rush?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I've both done where um, my first ever in person catch where I actually got to go for once was one of my catches, and it was in the middle of the night, and it was at a park that didn't have not like a playground park, but just kind of like a park with big field and benches and covered area. And that one, my knee. It was kind of funny. My knees were kind of shaking because I'm like, okay, what do I do? And the whole team, almost the whole team was there, plus a couple extra people that were with us at the time because we were actually having a get together at my Airbnb when I'm like, I got a catch. And so we all went, and it was a huge adrenaline rush because they're like trying to talk to me. I'm trying to talk to them. Like, okay. And Decoy was really helpful because she was the one who was like sticking with me because I wasn't the in-person decoy. Vans was actually serving as the in-person decoy because she is so adorable and so tiny and just naturally sounds like a child. I am not adorable and I'm not tiny. So I don't do in-person decoying. So like I was hiding behind a tree, and like Decoy was like manipulating and moving my body behind a tree to hide from the guy because he started to walk right past us, but it was pitch black. And so yeah, that was a huge adrenaline rush. And then when I'm talking to the officer, I'm like, oh shit, here's my phone. I didn't prepare what I was gonna say to the officer. And Z was like, it's okay. And she just helped me out. Like she was so awesome. I really appreciated her being there. So yeah, and then I've done one door knock, I think, which that was fun. I loved doing the door knock. That was interesting.
Mm. That is like so. You actually did a door knock.
Mhm.
What was that like? I mean, you said it was interesting, but was it to lure the pred out?
So yeah, this was someone who I think this was Noah from Michigan City, I think that's who it is. Um, he he just wasn't gonna meet, but he was gross enough, and I think he was on Telegram. And I may or may not be wrong. Boots is gonna have to eventually correct me if I'm wrong, but Goose had a strong suspicion that he had CP. And so he's like, I'm not gonna wait for him to meet. Let's just go get him. And so him and I went and we knocked on his door. And it was to have a conversation. So he did, like, like, hey, we're here to talk to Noah. And so his brother is the one who answered the door, and he went and got Noah, and we had Noah come on out. And we talked to him for a little while. Um, but then he went back inside. He was getting uncomfortable. Went back inside. That one was fun. That is the catch where his brother then eventually came out and started harassing us and was just yelling at us for a good 20 and 25 minutes, and Boots was having fun with them.
Mm. It's funny to see how catchers interact, or even decoys interact with the predator, because you never know who it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? It could be I mean, it could just be anybody, and a lot of times they don't even look what you think they're going to look.
Yeah, this guy was actually after because the cops got there, they actually seized all of his devices. All of a sudden, they started coming out with they took his whole because he had a gaming PC. That's what he was doing. He was I don't remember which game he was playing, but he was gaming. So he came out and had his like gamer headset on and stuff. But the police took all of his devices and stuff like that night. But this dude actually, he and his siblings, I think he had one or two siblings. There was an article posted from a long time ago about them. They were found and brought to civilization. They were living like completely off the grid and completely out of society for like, I don't know, first 10 years or something of his life. It was wild reading that article. Um, yeah. Had never been to school, nothing like that. I think he was like 10 years old or something like that. I don't remember.
Wow. Um, I was going to ask, do you get sent a lot of, I guess you would say, male nudity, or uh, I don't want to say penis, but male nudity?
Yes.
I try to be polite polite and courteous as I can. I don't like
Oh, it's okay.
um.
I'm doing my best not to have a filter on. Do my best not to be
Oh, you
true
say, you know
true
what?
BAP
You know,
Cali.
you
What
just
my I'm filthy. I'm sorry, I'm filthy. So I'm trying to be good.
you ain't street, are you, girl?
Ah,
So
you know.
just be yourself. Just be yourself, and uh, and that's okay, because I think that's what a lot of people want to see. Because you're like Boots, and Alex, and I say Southern Belle, and yourself, and APP are all just regular people making a change. And I mean, and honestly, I think a lot of you all are heroes to different people in the community. I believe you are here. I may not know you, may not have talked to you, but your work makes you a hero to a lot of people.
I appreciate that. I mean, I definitely regular. Um, Abnormal, absolutely. Weird, more than likely. Yeah, 100%.
I I was gonna say, it really does take a certain person to do this kind of work.
It does, right? Because I share with my family what I do, and sometimes they'll rewatch a catch if it's someone that I've been decoying, and or I'll be texting someone else, start giggling, like like for example, my mama, she is so like when for example, this is how my mother is. For example, like as a kid, I would like not as a young kid, but as like a teenager, we'd be in public and I would go up to her and I would say, I need to tell you something. And she'd go, what, baby? And I'd whisper in her ear, penis. And then she would turn beet red. Like she gets embarrassed so easily, right? So I'll be sitting there, like at the dinner table, honestly, on like maybe Thanksgiving or something, and I'll be talking to a friend and I'll get like a hairy asshole pic or something like that.
Oh,
And I'm like, Mom, oh mom, look at this really cute kitten. And then I show her the hairy asshole and she goes, Emily, ah! I definitely just doxed myself. Oh well.
oh, that's
But
okay. I mean, Sam Squanch said, seen a cucumber, a hot sauce bottle, air freshener can, and it's all males.
let's see, a cucumber, a hot sauce bottle, air freshener can. Oh, you mean up someone's butt?
Yes, actually saw the
Yes.
cucumber. Unfortunately, I couldn't get by without seeing that. It was actually an Agent Orange. Well, Sam decoyed it, but was Agent Orange sketch, and he that's something he just had to share because it was just so gross. I reckon. You had. I mean, I believe decoys maybe shared that around to make them to troll on the or to make fun of the predator.
Yeah. Yeah. Making fun of friends when they don't really know it is hilarious. I love doing that, especially when I'm on the younger side, when I'm like 10, and they'll say, "Have you ever touched your pussy?" I'm like, yeah, I touch my pussy all the time. I love him. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, his name's Timon, and I'll send them a picture of my cat, and they're like, no, no, what are you talking about?
You
And
know
then
what?
they'll say,
That
I'm about
that
ready to come. And I'm like, oh, where are you going? I'm coming where?
that makes me wonder what's the youngest you have decoyed as?
10. 10 is
Wow.
the youngest that I have gone. And 10 was actually more so for Boots. Boots had a really disgusting registered sex offender in um, Wisconsin, Chippewa Falls, I think is where it was at. And so I typically do Boots' phone calls for him. So he does all the texting and stuff like that for his own. But when it comes to phone calls, I do most of his phone calls for him. And so I had to be 10 for that one. He was gross. Whew.
Mm. That is like that's sick. What do you think causes a person to go after a 10-year old or lower?
Oh,
I
you
don't want to call
know,
them a person. I'll take that back. I don't want to call them a person, this monster. You just can't really have a word for them that's low enough and trashy enough to call a predator.
you know, that that is the that is the question that I think a lot of people can't really answer. They might try, but I don't know. I definitely think you have people who were just raised to be that way, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Um, but when people are raised to be that way, there comes to a point in life where you know that it's wrong. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions, and you see that it's wrong. And it's all about getting that help and making that decision to break the cycle, right? But I don't know. There's other people who were absolutely not raised that way. Um, I don't know. Um, I know that we've come across some people who were just incredibly awkward and different, and 40-year-old virgin status, and
Mhm.
end up trying to mess with a kid. And sometimes you wonder, hey, is still incredibly wrong. But then there's just the really disgusting ones who are actual like pedophiles and child molesters. I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could answer that, but I don't have a good answer. I don't know.
I mean, it's that is like probably the ultimate question, but it's almost like it's different people have a different opinion on it, and which is okay. But I've heard different types of opinions on it, which I don't necessarily disagree, but some of them I just don't agree with. But um, do you think it could also be a genetical thing?
Genetics. Um,
Yeah,
you know, no.
no,
I am
uh,
definitely a person of science. I'm all about the science, truthfully, I don't really know the science behind genetics as it relates to pedophilia, right? Like I know that addiction and stuff like that is absolutely, you can be predispositioned for certain things, but I mean, being a pedophile, that's absolutely a decision that you are making. Um,
yeah. it ultimately comes down to a decision. I believe you're right.
Hmm. Right. Everybody has thoughts. Everybody has things they might want to do or try or whatever, but it's ultimately up to you whether or not you are actually going to do it. Um, and yeah,
So there's my girlfriend Mandy, but it's
Mandy.
Mandy. That's my girlfriend. I can't lie. Um, sometimes they are really and are completely nerdy living in mom's basement and backyard, but it's still wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, there we have come across people that were like, I have a feeling this is what it took to really shook them, and they're not going to try to fuck with kids anymore, right? Because they can't get someone their own age. I mean, they could if they probably tried, but they are just so damn secluded and nerdy and just awkward and 40 and living in mama's basement. But
Fang Soup said predators are attracted to trauma. It's the trauma itself that turns them on, especially when themselves they themselves have experienced it and felt satisfaction that they are too young to understand.
and that is absolutely true because a child, especially one that's gone through trauma or whatever, this predator who's gone through their own trauma, um, they get to be the hero of their own story, essentially, right? They get to kind of be that person. And when I say hero, not a true hero, but they get to be that person there for that child and manipulate that child and do disgusting things and whatnot. It's I don't know, it's a sense of playing a different role in their own reliving their own trauma, but in a way that they are in control and they get to do um they get to call the shots. So I definitely see that, yeah.
Uh, Me neither. But they want us white privilege get that fuck what? Okay, pussy liquor, you've lost me with that. I hadn't saw your comments. I didn't.
Oh, before
I wasn't saying earlier. I wasn't saying that Mandy was my actual woman, but it's Amanda. Get it, Amanda.
I don't know. Pussy Liquor asked earlier, do you feel guilty for being born white? I don't know if the question um, that I'm supposed to answer. How do you know I'm white?
Oh, that is true.
I might not be white, bruh. From the streets, yo.
Uh, Fang soup. Yeah, cause chemically their brains made a connection between satisfaction and what they didn't understand. Just like it's super interesting. I actually did a interview. Oh, I mean, this is a while back, and it's on my locals that a RSO female pretended to be um a psychiatrist, and but she was in reality an RSO, and I actually interviewed her, and she talked a lot about. It's hard to explain unless you haven't saw the interview, but it's like she was telling about herself and what caused her to do what she done.
Interesting.
But it wasn't. But she was. We didn't know at the time that she was an RSO and a predator. But after some people looked into it, it comes to find out that she is or is a predator, and I had to like expose her, who she was, and she was actually in groups like locals of Alex's locals and stuff. So me saying that, do you think there's predators that watch this type of content? I mean, I know there is, but what do you
Oh
think
yeah.
about it?
Oh yeah. I mean, just yesterday, and when Boots was just doing on his gaming stream, there is an old pred who proposed that he exposed a long time ago. This pred actually proposed to a 13-year-old when they went and exposed him. Um, and he actually pretended to a little while after that he pretended to be a family member of himself and said, "Hey, so and so died. Can you please take his video down?" And Boots called his bullshit and was like, "Nah." Well, that person created a fake Facebook profile and was trying to troll Boots in his gaming stream yesterday. So, and there's been other past caches that have come into just his gaming stream to harass him, and yeah. So yeah, we see him. I mean, they watch it.
Bell said, "I wish doctors would do brain scans of preds to see if different areas of the brain react differently."
I mean, I wish doctors would do a whole hell of a lot on these preds, but yeah, that's one of them. Sure, sure.
So, what do you? Oh, I just already asked that, but what do you think? Do you think a chemical castration would work on a predator?
No, I don't. Um, I know places like Louisiana is about to pass something that will actually do a actual castration.
Hmm.
But no, I don't, right? And because I'm one of the people that is absolutely a believer of, you know what, if they can't use their dick, they're going to find something else to use, right? Because they're still going to have those thoughts. They're still going to have some kind of access. Um, so I just, I still think that they're going to be a danger and they can still cause just as much harm because they might not have a working wiener, but they still got a working mouth and working hands to text and reach out to children.
Oh, definitely. I think it's almost like a dopamine hit. Like I've said this before. It's like they get a satisfaction out of possibly doing that to a child. And
Mm-hmm.
castration doesn't work because, like you were saying, they still have hands and stuff like that. I mean, everybody's saying that castration won't work. I mean, in the chat, like two or three people, but it's. So, what do you think? What do you think should actually happen to this predator?
You know, definitely think that death is the easy way out. I also don't know
Yeah.
where I stand. I also don't know where I stand on whether or not people should make the determination of whether or not someone should live or die. But that's a different story. On the other hand, I don't want my tax dollars paying for that fucker to sit in jail for the rest of his life. But I guess I can't have the best of both worlds. So honestly, it's you done this, you get locked up and you don't come
Hmm.
out.
Oh, I just had something just cross my mind. Say a predator that actually molests a kid or what in real life, and they get caught and they just say, "Oh, you're going to jail for 20 years." Do you possibly think that the predator is re-victimizing the person every time he thinks back on the trauma of doing that to the child? Is that still victimizing the kid?
Is it still victimizing the kid every time? Who remembers? The child remembers or the predator
No, the
remembers?
predator. Say he's in prison. I never thought about it like this, but when the predator is in jail or prison or wherever he goes, is when he still thinks about doing that stuff with the child, like memories. Would you
Mhm.
consider it possibly re-victimizing the child?
Absolutely. I don't think just one time victimizing somebody is the case. That's never the case because that victim, every time that victim thinks about what's happened, they are getting re-victimized. It's a long life. It's a life sentence. Every victim has a life sentence. Everything they have to relive throughout the rest of their life from that experience. They're a victim when it comes to that. I mean, they're a survivor, obviously. We like to, we're survivors. We're not victims, right? But when
Yeah. I know.
specifically in that moment when you're thinking about like the different stuff that happened, in that moment you are again being victimized in a sense.
Mm. That's short bus. Think about some of the preds Alex has caught who have said junk don't work. They still actively trying to get kids. Exactly.
Oh yeah, especially when we catch these older people, these older men. I'm 60 years old. I got ED. I can't even use it. well, you sure still caused a whole hell of a lot of damage, didn't
I think uh, APP is wanting me to give a hypothetical question in honor of
you?
Nevermore. That I don't know. What would be a hypothetical question?
You're asking me? I
Yeah. Do you have any hypothetical questions?
to ask myself or to ask you?
Or yeah, to ask me, then I can re-ask it to you.
Okay.
I don't know. This it always goes off. I mean, this has been like almost a perfect interview, and there's people missing out of the chat. I believe you know who I'm talking about, and it's like going super smooth. I don't like. I believe you're awesome, Callie.
Thank you. Here's a hypothetical. Hypothetical. So, say there was a situation where you, Callie, were left alone with Boots' vehicle. What would you do?
Ah, oh my God! I just
Great
remember.
question, Callie. You just
We're
remember what you just
listening.
remembered. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so thanks for asking. I would 100%, absolutely, completely, especially back when Boots had his truck. I may or may not have completely decorated his entire truck in lawns and pads. Um, I even had fishing poles in the back of his truck that I tied tampons to, and pads everywhere. And I had fart spray. Um, there was that. So definitely may or may not have happened. But there you go. There's a hypothetical. What would I do if I was left alone with Boots' vehicle?
Oh, definitely. I would. I mean, if you all, I was going to say, if BAP, Bikers Against Predators, you or whoever, Boots or Southern Belle ever come to Tennessee for a catch, please let me know because I would love to meet you all because that would be like an absolute honor to meet you all because are one of the top three teams in my opinion, Bikers. And I will say this, that
Thank you.
the Bikers as a group, the group that you all are so nice. It's crazy. So are you overly nice to some people to give them crabs?
To give them crabs. I don't have to be overly nice to give them crabs. I just give them out freely. I'm a very charitable person. I love giving. And if you ask Boots, crabs is something that I often give.
Hypothetical speaking, of course,
Except,
if the Fred. Oh, go ahead.
nope, go for it.
Oh, hypothetically speaking, of course, if the Pred was going to off his herself because they have been caught, would you stop them? Hypothetically.
Uh, I don't think people are gonna like my answer here, but I would. So,
Mm.
bikers against bikers is not the only thing that I do in my spare time because I am a mom and I do have a full time job. But something else that I do that I've done since 2017 is I'm a suicide prevention and crisis intervention specialist. I'm trained in doing that. And so I have hundreds of volunteer hours talking to people of all walks of life, all ages, children all the way up to adults who are suicidal, talking them off a ledge, helping them build safety plans, and whatnot. So I'm a huge advocate for mental health and for suicide prevention. And I mean, I've had to, I took an oath and I've had to talk to people who are monsters, who were traumatized and suicide because they were a monster, because of it. Like hearing them tell me their story and realizing, damn, you are a bad person. I still too, right? Have to ignore that and just as a human being and get them off that ledge and put them on a better path, get them that safe plan. So I'm gonna have to say no. Yes, I would absolutely stop them.
I like the first
I have
answer.
to.
Um, so I believe that's about all I have with you for right now, Callie. You are super awesome, and I've really enjoyed
Well, you're
my
super
time.
awesome.
I've really enjoyed this. This is like, I mean, it feels like the interview has went really smooth, and I don't know what's happened. It feels like I've done a great interview.
Yeah,
Well, you're a great person, so it's pretty
you did.
easy.
I mean, you're a great person. I'm just weird, quirky. I'll respond to anything.
Oh, you're awesome. Anytime I've ever spoken to you, you're super nice and super. I just, I mean, I'd say, you know, predator poachers. I have is has a special place in my heart, and but I will have to say the
Hmm.
people in backers, you're just right there with them because you all are so have been so friendly and nice with me, and I can't talk no higher about a group than you all.
Well,
And
yeah, I
that
appreciate that. I definitely idolize predator poachers. Just like whenever whenever Alex goes live, I let Boots know. Boots,
mhm.
Daddy Alex is live. So absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm
Oh
disappointed
no.
that Nate wasn't here because I was looking forward to having it out with Nate. I was expecting a lot of pineapple shit thrown in my face, and I was very much looking forward to it. So I'm a bit disappointed in that aspect, but that's fine.
Uh, I actually somebody said the only Fang Soup said the only place I could find Bikers Against Predators is the on Facebook.
So that at Facebook is more active. We also have a YouTube channel, but YouTube is just for phone calls. I run the YouTube channel. It's mostly my
Oh,
phone calls since I'm the one that does most of them. However, that is just viewer discretion is advised. I don't know why, but the phone calls I end up doing are always disgusting. I would say probably 80% of the time the predator ends up uh,
hmm.
choking their chicken quite obnoxious, quite obnoxiously. Um, it's very disgusting. So I mean, some people can stomach those phone calls, some people can't. So if you're ever
So
interested in into what those phone calls sound like, you can absolutely check out our YouTube.
definitely when we get off here, would you possibly send me a link and I'll link it on my locals and I'll link it to Alex's locals because I for me I love watching decoy stuff because you and one reason why I've created this channel and do these interviews are for decoys because they do. I feel like sometimes they don't get enough credit for what they actually do.
For sure. And I can see that. I know that Boots, I mean, he decoys just as hard as anybody else.
Mm.
Um, but of course, there are other decoys, and he's out there, and, and everyone knows Boots, but they might not. But speaking for all decoys, it's actually really really nice to have people like you who want to talk to the decoys and kind of get their perspective of what it's like to be a part of this catcher community. So awesome.
It is you all. I mean, any decoys out there doing this is you're more than welcome to come up on my channel and just talk about whatever you want to. I mean, I might ask a few questions, but it's very important to get that awareness out there for to know might be a small team or something say, oh man, I must be the only decoy. No, there's other decoys out here, and and watching other decoy channels, how it's like they can pick up certain techniques that might help this other decoy better, or having trouble getting somebody on the hook. It's I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Now I'm rambling. I'm just rambling now.
That's okay.
But I appreciate you, Callie, and please come back again. I've really enjoyed this talk with you.
Yeah, I have too. Anytime you let me know and I'll make myself available.
Yes, ma'am. I definitely will. Yes, drop
All
the
right, you
link.
take care. You have a blessed and wonderful evening. Okay.
Okay. You too. You too. Very much. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Callie.
much. Bye.
Oh, that's Bikers Against Predators, Callie. Awesome decoy. Um, is she? I mean, all the decoys I've ever interviewed were like awesome. And I was gonna say, if you haven't joined my locals, please do. We've been having grinder security calls, and it's been been very interesting and fun. Just go ahead and hit the red join button, or if you don't want to join, just go in and watch, and you might be able to chat, but at least you can watch it. And we always like have a great time on there, laughing and cut up and stuff. But I appreciate everybody coming here. I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and everybody have a great Father's Day tomorrow, and have a great Saturday.